specific breakdowns and official predictions for UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, Magomed Ankalaev versus Bogdan Guskov. Starting off with the first fight of the night, Cody Gibson versus Abdul Hassan. So, obviously, Cody Gibson has a lot more experience in this matchup than Abdul Hassan does, but I believe Hassan will win because he is the better grappler, I believe, in this matchup. And I believe he'll just be able to take down Gibson, get to good positions where he can damage Gibson, and also will be the fighter with the better cardio in this matchup. Gibson isn't a terrible grappler at all. He will be able to, in the first round or two, fight back pretty well against Abdul and make him work for his positions, but I just believe Hassan is the better grappler, and eventually Gibson will get tired out because of the grappling, and Hassan will just continue to win the fight. Gibson is the guy who's a lot bigger in this matchup, as you can see, 5'10" to 5'5". But I just believe Hassan's the better and more skilled grappler and will win this fight by 30-27 decision. So, on to the next fight of the night. Magomed Ankalaev versus Mike Davis. I think everybody is going to be picking Magomed Ankalaev in this matchup. Just a super dominant grappler. A lot of people compare him to a Khabib. I would say his grappling is less dominant than Khabib, but his striking is also a lot better. And I would say he's going to win this fight probably by either dominant decision or submission. I would say decision because Mike Davis is a very good fighter. He's beaten some pretty good dudes in the UFC, and his grappling is pretty good. So I believe even when he gets taken down by Magomed Ankalaev, he'll have jiu-jitsu off his back that will make this a difficult matchup for Magomed Ankalaev. He won't be able to just dominate like he wants to. I believe when Ankalaev takes him down, Mike Davis will have leg locks and that sort of stuff with his guard off his back that he'll be able to annoy Ankalaev with and maybe survive himself to a decision. But this is not a good matchup for him. Magomed Ankalaev is very good, and he could probably already be ranked had he been more active. This guy has been in the UFC for a while, actually, but just doesn't fight that much. His first fight was over 3 years ago, then didn't fight for 2 years for some reason, But I don't know. I believe he's fought guys with good jiu-jitsu like Mike Davis. Joe Solecki's a guy who's pretty good with his jiu-jitsu, and again, Magomed Ankalaev had no problem dismantling him. And he's fought guys who are somewhat dangerous on the feet, like Rafael Alves, still dominated him on the ground. So I just believe this will be a not very easy, but a pretty easy win for Magomed Ankalaev. Probably another 30-27 decision in this one. On to the next fight of the night. Magomed Ankalaev versus Brinson Ribeiro. Two black fighters fighting each other, obviously. But being serious, this guy is one of the rare Dagestanis who's kind of more of a striker than a grappler. And I just believe in this matchup, he's kind of being set up for an easy KO win, fighting a guy in Brinson Ribeiro who's not got that great of a record. So I would say this is probably just going to be like a first round slime out sort of KO. It's going to be bad, And Ribeiro, I believe, is a guy that the UFC is kind of using to give a free win to this Muslim guy on a Middle East card. He's fought a Muslim grappler or Muslim striker before a couple times, and it's not gone well for him. So I believe the same is going to happen in this matchup. It's just he's find a guy who's bigger than him as well. I just believe this will be a first round KO for Magomed Ankalaev. And we go on to the next fight of the night. Ismail Bonfim versus Axel Sola. Now, I don't know why this is not on the main card. I believe it should be. This should be a pretty good fight. Both guys coming off a loss in this matchup. And if I had to make my pick for this one, I would say Axel Sola. You know, this guy is a dog. He's, as we saw in his last fight, he can go through a war, and even though he didn't win, he never gave up. Whereas Ismail Bonfim, we've seen both the Bonfim brothers kind of give up when the times get tough. So, unless this is like a first round submission or KO for him, I don't know if I can really believe in him. So, he's also just the way smaller guy in this matchup, 6 foot to 5'8", so almost 4 inches in height, 74 inch and 71.5, so 2.5 inches in reach. So I just believe Axel Sola is going to be the lot bigger guy, going to be sniping him on the feet with stuff. And even if this does get into kind of a scrappy fight, I would believe in Sola to be able to dog it out. And I would think Bonfim would kind of eventually end up giving up. And, you know, Bonfim has fought a French dude before, and it didn't go very well for him. And this is a French dude who's a lot better of a technical striker than BSD is. You know, so I would pick, in this fight, Axel Sola by round 2 KO over Ismail Bonfim. And one thing I gotta say, this guy, I don't know how he is Brazilian, because he is the most Indian-looking, non-Indian guy ever. It's insane. His brother looks Brazilian. He looks just straight up Indian. So, do that with what you will, you know. On to the next fight of the night. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Sam Patterson. This is the rematch for the World Cup. Argentina versus England. And if I had to give my prediction for this fight, I would say Sam Patterson probably by first or second round KO with a right hand, vicious right hand. You know, Sam Patterson obviously coming off a very boring fight to MVP, but I don't believe that was really him. That was definitely more of MVP's fault. And it was kind of not a great look for Sam Patterson, but to be fair, MVP is a very tricky striker, so not a horrible loss to have on the feet. But in this matchup, I just believe he's going to be the guy who's a lot sharper, a lot more powerful, and a lot better. You know, Santiago Ponzinibbio, in his prime, was actually very good. He's kind of forgotten about in the welterweight division. He beat a lot of good guys. You know, beat Jeff Neal at UFC 269. He has some pretty good wins, but, I mean, he's just old, man. We can look and see. He's just getting up there, and he's lost a lot of fights. Rodriguez by KO in a fight that he didn't really look good in. Harris is like kind of a setup win. Salikov, another loss. This was a bad loss for him, really bad knockout, you know. Getting beat by Pereira. I mean, 2021 is kind of where he peaked, and then he seemed to fall off after that. But, I mean, he's just kind of an old guy. I don't know if they show how old he is, but just he's an old guy, and he's never been the most technical guy, fighting a guy who I believe will be a lot more technical. Also a bigger guy, a lot bigger in reach and height. And I believe that's going to help him in this matchup. He'll draw Ponzinibbio in and then just hit him with a nasty right hand. Because Ponzinibbio throws a lot of looping left hooks and then crazy overhands. Sam Patterson, being the bigger and longer guy, will be able to probably draw that craziness out of him and then just punish him with a nasty right hand. So my prediction for this fight would be a right hand vicious KO by Sam Patterson, and it's going to be a sad one to see because Ponzinibbio is a good dude, but this will be how England will feel better about the World Cup, finally getting a win over Argentina. So that's my prediction for this fight. On to the next fight of the night, which is Dustin Jacoby versus Magomed Ankalaev. And if I had to make my prediction for this fight, I would go Dustin Jacoby by decision. But I would hope he KOs Ankalaev in this fight because he's fighting a Muslim guy in Abu Dhabi. Going to the scorecards is going to be a little bit worrying, but I just believe Dustin Jacoby is actually a very underrated striker. Used to be a glory kickboxer, fought some good guys. Wasn't a champion or anything, but I mean, we've seen his striking in the UFC. He's very good. Real ones remember when he beat Khalil Roundtree and then got brutally robbed. So he's a good striker, very good striker, and the experience in this matchup is definitely on his side. I mean, he's got as many losses as Ankalaev has fights and wins. So 32 fights to 9, over triple the amount of fights. That's going to help him in this matchup. A lot of experience, a lot of KOs, fighting a guy who's obviously a striker, and so he has no takedown threat to worry about. Even with a guy with a Muslim name, you usually think of the takedown threat, but he's going to be fighting a striking matchup here, and that's where you're in Dustin Jacoby's world pretty much. I would just say he's going to kind of style on Ankalaev here. Maybe Ankalaev can make it somewhat close, but I would say 30-27 Dustin Jacoby decision. Maybe a KO. Maybe a head kick KO. But, you know what, screw it. I'll go head kick KO for Dustin Jacoby. On to the next fight of the night. Walter Walker versus Thomas Peterson. I mean, I think we all know what we're thinking right now. I'm going to have to go with Walter Walker by heel hook. I mean, it's just insane to see a heavyweight getting so many heel hooks. I mean, how many heel hooks is it in a row for Walter Walker now? I know he's got the record for it. I think these are all heel hooks, so 1, 2, 3, 4 heel hooks in a row, so that's insane. I mean, he's fighting a lot better of an opponent than I think he has in his last couple, but I mean, he's not fighting the upper tier of heavyweights yet. Thomas Peterson's another guy who's unranked. Not a blob like some of the other guys he's fought. I mean, he's a lot more in shape and better than Louis Sutherland, so he's going to be a little tougher, but these heavyweights aren't used to heel hooks. Heel hooks and leg locks, that kind of jiu-jitsu's a lighter man's game. Usually you see these heavyweight jiu-jitsu guys get takedowns and just kind of blob guys out and go for arm triangles and things like that. So a guy who's just, when the bell starts, run at you and then just drop down for a leg and heel hook you is just so unheard of at heavyweight. But to be fair, he's done that in every fight, so it's not going to be difficult to game plan against him for a fighter. You just gotta not let him get close and not let him go near your legs, sprawl out, make sure he, put a cross face in, make sure he can't get to your legs. But I just don't believe Thomas Peterson's going to be able to do that, I think he'll get the heel hook on him. And as we can see, Walter Walker is just way bigger than 5 inches in height, bigger in weight, 15 pounds on him, 4.5 inches in reach, 4 inches in leg reach. So he's going to be the bigger and stronger guy in this matchup. Even if he doesn't get a heel hook, he can probably just implement the grappling on him. And submit him in other ways. But I'd say he's going to find a heel hook on him. I mean, he can shoot a takedown, take you down, fall for the legs. If you defend his takedown, he'll drop down to the legs, or you take him down, he'll go for your legs, or if you sprawl on his takedown, he'll go for your legs. So I just believe his heel hooks are nasty, and heavyweights are too fat and unskilled to deal with them. So I'm going to go with Walter Walker by first round, heel hook. On to the main card. Abubakar Fagayev versus Saigid Isakakmayev. Jeez, I deserve an award just for saying those two names. And to be honest, don't know who either of these guys are. I mean, this guy is an unlockable character. And I don't know why either of these guys are on the main card. I mean, I believe Bonfim versus Sola is going to be probably fight of the night and should probably be on this, be the opener of the main card, but they're in Abu Dhabi and they're going to give favoritism to their guys and put them in good spots, so I guess I see why, but, still a little weird. But getting to my breakdown of this fight, I would say Saigid is going to be coming in here more of the grappler, and Abubakar is going to be coming in here more of the striker. So we're going to see a striker versus grappler matchup in this fight. And I would say in the striker versus grappler matchup, we're going to see Fagayev be a little more successful, because if you've seen any of Saigid's fights, he has a sort of style where, if obviously he does have a lot of submissions, as you can see, but when he gets takedowns, he doesn't really do a whole lot with it, to be honest. He is a guy that is willing to win by just kind of smudge decision and not do a whole lot. And he's kind of a style that can, in this new era where we're scoring damage over control, he's probably going to lose a lot of decisions, especially with good judges in the UFC. I just believe in this fight he'll probably get takedowns and be successful, but Fagayev will get back up from him and just land the damage that's going to win him rounds and eventually, I believe, win him the decision in this fight. So my prediction for this fight would be Abubakar Fagayev by decision. Maybe close, 29-28. Maybe even a split decision. Going on to the next fight of the night. Rizvan Kuniev versus Tyrell Fortune. Tyrell Fortune, just made his short notice debut and got a good win. Rizvan Kuniev coming off a win against Jailton Almeida. And so, if I had to give my prediction for this fight, I would say Rizvan Kuniev by decision. I believe Tyrell Fortune's going to come into this matchup with a pretty wrestling-heavy game plan. But we saw Rizvan Kuniev defend the takedowns of Jailton Almeida, who is probably, I know he got cut, but still probably the best grappler we've really seen at heavyweight recently. Jailton Almeida is a guy with very athletic, fast, explosive takedowns, and then a guy with dominant control and good submissions. Whereas Tyrell Fortune is just not a fat heavyweight. So I don't believe that's going to be the same level of takedowns coming Kuniev's way. And I just believe he'll be able to defend the takedowns coming at him. And Kuniev, even dealing with the takedowns in his last fight, was still able to push a pretty good pace and win the fight. So I don't think Tyrell Fortune's going to be able to just come in here, blast a bunch of takedowns, and then push a pace on Kuniev that Kuniev just can't handle. So I would just say Kuniev's going to defend the takedowns of Fortune, be able to keep up with the pace, outstrike him, and win a decision in this matchup. So that would be my prediction for this fight. On to the next fight of the night, which is Magomed Ankalaev, or as we all like to call him, John Pork, versus Damian Respecki. Both these guys are very dangerous strikers. I believe both kind of Muay Thai guys. So this is another contender for fight of the night. Definitely could see a nice scrap going into this one. And to be honest, this is a very dangerous debut for John Pork. You know, Damian Respecki is a very good guy. More experience than him, more wins. But if I had to make my prediction, I would say John Pork by late KO, third round, or maybe a decision, but I'd say third round KO. You know, John Pork does a lot of his, in all of his fights, sets up stuff with nasty leg kicks and throws in combination a bunch. So I just, in this fight, I believe we'll see him round one, early round two, throwing a lot of low kicks, using that to set up his hands and set up combinations. And eventually, as he's got Respecki damage to the legs, he'll be feinting with the leg kicks and then just lighting him up with combinations. Kicks to the body, maybe two, as we get into the fight. And to be honest, I could see a head kick KO in the third round. So that's how I believe John Pork will win this fight. Just leg kicks, body kicks, using those leg kicks to eventually set up the nasty combinations. Once he's got Respecki damaged enough with the hands, feint something to the legs or the body, go up high with a right head kick KO in the third round. That's my prediction for this fight. On to the next fight of the night is... Oh, shit. The next fight of the night, Islam Dulatov versus Wellington Turman. I mean, Dulatov, this guy, handsome man. He's a model outside of fighting career, which is probably why that he took so long to fight after his debut. And I would say we're going to see Islam Dulatov win by KO in this fight. Wellington Turman trains with the Alex Pereira team, but he's not a striker. He's a grappler. And I don't think he's going to be able to get his grappling off how he wants to against Islam Dulatov. I think Islam Dulatov will be able to defend the takedowns and then just hit Turman with some nasty shots and KO him. I don't believe Turman's going to be able to be a guy who can tough out a nasty first round and then get his grappling going. I just believe Dulatov is going to come in this fight and finish it pretty early by a first round KO. You know, Turman, you can see the average fight time between the two. Turman clearly needs a little bit, more time to get going. Gets later into the fight and starts having more success, but I don't believe Dulatov is going to let him get that late into the fight. Lands a lot per minute compared to Turman. And he's only had one fight in the UFC, so these metrics are a little skewed, but I mean, this guy, we can see his takedown accuracy. As a grappler, he has a 20% takedown accuracy. So that's not great for a guy we would want to be picking by, smudging him in the first round, eventually having success in the last two. So that makes me pretty confident in my pick of Dulatov by first round KO. Going on to the next fight of the night, the co-main event. Steve Erceg versus Ramazan Tamarov. And before I give my prediction and breakdown for this fight, I just want to say I don't really understand why Ramazan Tamarov is really being given another chance in the UFC. After his fight with Charles Johnson, he literally popped for PEDs, and for some reason that fight wasn't overturned to a no contest. And he's unranked, and we're giving him a shot against the number 10 contender. The number 10 contender. A guy who just popped for PEDs. A little weird, but I don't think it's going to matter because I don't think he'll win this fight. You know, Steve Urseg's the bigger guy in this matchup by 4 inches, longer reach by 5 inches, a little bit longer reach by 2 inches in the leg reach. And I believe he's going to weather an early storm and then just win the last 2 rounds, kind of like he did in his last fight, and have another masterclass 29-28 decision. I believe Ramazan Tamarov will come out in the first round. He's a guy with a lot of power, which does worry me against Urseg. And I could see Urseg getting dropped bad and having to survive the first round like he did against Ode Osborne. But I believe Tamarov will come out in the first round, throwing big meaty hooks, trying to take Urseg's head off, but it won't work. Urseg's the bigger, more skilled technical guy. He'll move out of the way, keep the center of the cage, be jabbing Tamarov up, hitting him with front kicks to the body as a shorter guy, gonna be bad for him. And Tamarov, when he gets hit with those front kicks, he'll probably try to kind of meathead his way and crowd the kicks and try to land big shots, but I don't see it working that well. I see he'll probably end up even getting frustrated and trying to shoot takedowns off the front kicks, but I believe if he can't get the KO in the first round, which he has an ability to, I'm a little worried, but if he can't get that KO in the first round, he's just going to lose the last 2. Maybe even end up losing the first round after Urseg gets it going later in the first round. But I just believe Urseg's a lot better of the fighter. And we saw in Tamarov's last fight, he fought Charles Johnson, and Charles Johnson kind of just fought the worst fight he could against Tamarov, being the guy who's a lot bigger, even bigger than Urseg is in this matchup. He just stood in front of him in Tamarov's range like a dummy and just kind of got pieced up for all 3 rounds because of that. Didn't give much of a fight to Tamarov. And Urseg's not going to do that. Urseg's a smart, technical fighter. He's going to work off the jab, use front kicks, move around, move to the non-power side of Tamarov, and keep the center of the cage, defend any grappling attempts, and I believe just win a 29-28 skillful masterclass decision. And now we go on to the main event, Magomed Ankalaev, Big Ank versus Bogdan Guskov, Agent 47 himself. Bogdan Guskov coming in on about a week or two's notice. Short notice fight for him. Was supposed to be Ankalaev versus Khalil Roundtree. So not the best situation for him. But I don't think it really changed the outcome of this fight. Had it been a full camp for him, I would still predict Ankalaev to win by KO. Probably in round 2. I just believe Ankalaev is the way better striker in this matchup, much more skilled. He has a reputation as a grappler for some reason, just because he's Dagestani, but he hasn't really had much success with his grappling. I mean, his takedown defense is good, but he shot 10 or 11 takedowns against Pereira in their first fight, didn't get any of them. So I don't believe that's going to be a aspect we'll see in this fight. Guskov's not going to be a guy shooting takedowns. He's kind of an opportunistic submission guy, but more of a guy who's going to try to slug it out and get a knockout on the feet. Not a guy I think we'll see shoot takedowns, and even if he does, Ank will defend him. So I don't think the grappling will really be a factor we see in this fight. But I just believe, Big Ank is a southpaw, Guskov's orthodox, and we've seen Ankalaev work very well in that opposite stance battle against Alex Pereira. He did pretty well in the first fight, and we see him in that opposite stance throw a lot of front kicks to the body, and I believe will work very well for him in this fight, front kicks to the body. And a lot of kicks. He's very kick heavy. He'll probably throw a lot of body kicks. Try to set up a head kick. He'll pull Guskov in to his range and hit him with a nice left hand counter, stuff like that. Maybe after that even end off with a head kick. But I just believe Guskov's not a skilled enough striker to beat Ankalaev, and he's not imposing enough like Alex Pereira to do what we saw Pereira do in that second fight and just walk forward, kick the legs, take the legs out, and then just nuke Ankalaev with a left hand, or right hand, excuse me. I've seen people saying maybe Ankalaev's kind of mentally not good going in this fight because of that. Kind of pretty bad loss to Pereira, which could play a factor, but I don't think he's really letting that affect his mentality, because in this build up for fight week, we've seen him make a lot of kind of delusional takes about that fight with Pereira, calling the first fight a domination, even though it was 48-47 with an injured Pereira, then saying he was injured in the second fight and calling for a rematch with Pereira after this fight. So I don't think he's really letting that loss affect him mentally. So if he's got no mental aspects going in this fight weighing him down negatively, I believe we're going to see a Ankalaev second round TKO by drawing Guskov in with a pull counter, hitting him with a nasty left straight hand, and winning this fight by KO. So those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, Magomed Ankalaev versus Bogdan Guskov. If you like the videos and want more, like the video, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.